Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pat's Pulpit pregame preview. This is week 3, and the New England Patriots are hosting Thursday Night Football against the Houston Texans. It should be a great showdown. I'm Rich Hill. With me, as always, is Alec Shane. Alec, how you doing?
How am I doing, Rich? That's a good question. I feel a little weird. I feel a little off tonight because it's Thursday night.
Why do you feel
Football's
weird?
on. I'll tell you why, Rich. Stop interrupting me. Let me talk. It's Thursday night. Football's on, which is weird in itself. It's a Patriots game, and I'm not remotely nervous for this game. And on top of that, I guess every week, but even more so than usual, I have no clue what's about to happen.
Yeah, I have no idea either. I've been watching the betting lines just because I'm so curious. I find it very, very interesting. And I've just been watching how they've been creeping in the direction of the Patriots ever since the odds were issued when they figured out that Garoppolo had his shoulder injury. So this is from Sunday night. The original odds came out. The Texans were 2 to 3 point favorites when they realized that Garoppolo probably wasn't going to be playing on Thursday and be Jacoby Brissett. And then just slowly, we've been seeing the odds decrease where people are like, all right, well, actually, do we think that the Patriots could still win with Jacoby? That's very, very possible. We didn't expect them to beat the Cardinals, and they did. And as the odds are still creeping, and go, wait a minute, is Rob Gronkowski going to play? If that is, that's going to change everything. And so finally, about like an hour ago, Rob Gronkowski has been determined that he was going to play, and the odds just instantly flipped. And now the Patriots are 1 point favorites. I don't like it one bit. I felt a lot more comfortable when the Patriots were underdogs. Alec, I feel like I don't want them to be favorites in this game because I feel like when you have Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, I want anything to be on the table to be available. And if they're favorites, I feel like there's more pressure.
I mean, how ridiculous is it, Rich, that here's a team with their third-string rookie quarterback making his first career start. He's thrown 9 real NFL passes.
In prime time.
In prime time against an elite defense, 2-0, and they're still the favorites. What a testament to how deeply inside the heads of the world the Patriots are and their confidence in Bill Belichick's ability to win. And, I mean, again, I have zero expectations tonight. I'm actually really excited for this game. It's going to be fun just to watch whatever unfolds, what they're going to do offensively, what their game plan is going to be. I don't know. Are they going to throw it? Are they going to run it? Is it going to be a lot of Garrett Blount? Is it going to be a lot of Gronkowski? I just have zero clue what's going to happen. Now, I always have zero clue, but at least I pretend in the pregame I know what I'm talking about. This time, I'm not even going to have the mask on. I am clueless, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, well, right now what we do know are the inactives for the game, and I'll run through them right now, and you can give me your initial thoughts on them. We know that running back DJ Foster will not be available. He is inactive. That means that LeGarrette Blount, Brandon Bolden, and James White will be your primary running backs. I believe that LeGarrette Blount's going to have a huge game. Right guard Jonathan Cooper is out. I believe Shaq Mason is closer to being fully healthy. He is no longer on the injury report. He played 50% of the snaps last week. I would expect him to play roughly 75% this week. Jimmy Garoppolo is not playing, as we'll talk about in a little bit. Offensive tackle Adrian Waddle is not active, as he is firmly in 4th behind Cameron Fleming. That makes it another curious option when and if Sebastian Vollmer can return this year. Cornerback Eric Rowe is inactive. No one should be really surprised by that. He was acquired 2 weeks ago, was shown on crutches late last week, and now he's no longer on them, but he's still not ready to take the field. Tight end A.J. Derby is not active because he has definitely been passed by Clay Harbor in the depth chart. Harbor was an excellent blocker last week against the Dolphins. I think that the Patriots are really going to rely on Harbor. And then most importantly, Donta Hightower is inactive. That means that Jonathan Freeney will once again step up into that starting role. He did a very, very good job last week against the Dolphins. I thought that he was very underappreciated. He did a lot of the dirty work in the trenches against the run. I thought he did a very good job there. Hopefully he can have an encore performance against this Texans offense. But Alec, do you have any initial thoughts with these inactives?
Yeah, I have 2 thoughts. The only ones that are really a quote-unquote surprise or to be maybe a detriment to the team are Garoppolo and Donta Hightower. I think Hightower could have had a very big game today. I imagine part of the Patriots' defensive game plan is to keep everything in front of them, limit the big play, and stuff the run game, and force Brock Osweiler to beat them with the short passes. And in the run game, Donta Hightower is a fantastic linebacker. He's great at crashing the gaps. He's great at instinctively reading the run and stopping him. So I think he's actually a bigger loss, maybe been letting on today. And obviously with the Garoppolo Brissett controversy that's kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit. But having Hightower out is a pretty big blow against Lamar Miller is actually a pretty good running back, and I'm curious to see what he does against a very strong Patriots front four, granted, but Hightower would have been a good guy to have in there today. And with Garoppolo completely inactive, that means if for whatever reason Brissett can't play or he goes down or he ends up just sucking and throws 6 picks in his first 6 passes, it's the Edelman show coming in. So those are 2 pretty big inactives at the end of the day.
Yeah, and can we talk about this quarterback situation right now? As you said, the Patriots are on their 3rd-string quarterback right now, and they're currently the favorites. In prime time, I still don't get how that works. It's a rookie quarterback. Come on, guys. I don't know. People are really big favorites on the Patriots right now. But they're on their 3rd quarterback. And over the span of, 4 days since Sunday, we've had so many reports come out. We've had Garoppolo might be out for half the season. Oh, wait, we're thinking it might just be 6 weeks. Oh, wait, he might be able to play on Thursday. Oh, wait, it's probably close to 4. Oh, wait, again, maybe it's looking at like 2 weeks. Maybe we can push him there. Hey, we have reports that the Patriots are pressuring him, dropping the line that Tom Brady would have played through this, which I think is the biggest mind game that I greatly disagree with. And then they moved forward and they're like, all right, well, maybe Garoppolo will be fine enough to suit up and then he can be back up to Brissett. But if not, we have a whole bunch of guys. We're going to train Julian Edelman in practice. We got Chris Hogan and A.J. Derby acting as the scout team quarterbacks, which, by the way, that's pretty cool. A.J. Derby was acting as Brock Osweiler in scout team. So that's I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots win that Derby gets practice player of the week. I believe Chris Hogan was acting as backup Braxton Miller. Personal, my opinion, no basis on that. But those 2 were seen preparing as scout team quarterbacks. That's who I matched them up with. And so we've gone back and forth as to who will be active, who will be the starter, who will be the backup. And right now, we're kind of where we all started, where, all right, well, you know what, Garoppolo has a 2 to 4 week injury. He could very well be back against the Bills. He's going to get an extra week of rest. That'd be good for him. Hopefully he can return and be right as he was in week 2, where he was just completely dominant against the Dolphins. Cross our fingers Jacoby Brissett doesn't get hurt because there's no one there. I mean, the idea of putting Edelman at quarterback because he's just so valuable as a receiver, and I don't want to put him in additional harm's way. Alec, if you could choose any other person on the roster other than Edelman to be the backup quarterback right now, who would it be?
That is a good question, Rich Hill. You know what I'd do? I would totally zig when everyone else zagged, and I would go with, why the hell not, Rob Gronkowski as the backup quarterback.
I like it.
One thing that Belichick has always said is he is a brilliant football mind. Deceptive watching him interact in normal situations, but everyone says he is a football kind of Rain Man, and he knows plays really well. I'm sure he can sling it. He's not going to thread the needle, but I bet you he's good for a couple of long bombs. You insert some kind of weird read option where Gronk can take off out of the backfield. That's good for like 3-4 yards of carry, isn't it? With the occasional dump out to the tight end. I can see a total offensive package surrounding Rob Gronkowski as the quarterback. I can.
I like it.
I'm kidding.
I like it. No, I mean, I personally want to keep all of the players that are starters in their spots. I wouldn't want to remove, like, for the same reason I wouldn't want to move Edelman. I wouldn't want to remove Gronk, especially because he's not fully healthy. I wouldn't want to move him. I wouldn't want to move, like, Chris Hogan or something like that. I actually would love to see A.J. Derby out there, but I think that he played a little bit of quarterback for his senior year in college, so he has some basis for it. He was a quarterback more recently than Edelman was, so I think that if they had to actually choose one, they would go with Derby. But my thought in this is that the Patriots would be in so much trouble if Brissett went down. If they had to call upon their number 4 quarterback, the game's lost. It doesn't matter. Don't risk anyone else. If they have to dig that deep, so be it. Whatever. There's no need to change your roster just in case that worst case scenario happens, because you know what? If it goes down, you're losing the game. It's over. So I'm fine that they didn't add a veteran quarterback or anything like that. I'm excited to look at this offense moving forward with Jacoby Brissett. I think that he could be a very good fit here. I think that they're going to rely a lot on the Garrett Blount. They need the offensive line to be extraordinarily stout against this Texans pass rush. Alec, do you have any immediate thoughts on the Texans defense and how the Patriots kind of match up on them?
Yeah, I mean, again, the Texans defense has always matched up well against the Patriots coming into these Texans-Patriots matchups, but the New England Patriots just find a way to exploit the holes. You look last year, the matchup, Brady carved him apart. LeGarrette Blount was having a very big day. I believe he went down in the second quarter with a hip injury, but he had 50-plus yards on not that many carries against the Texans last year. And so they always kind of find a way to exploit the defense. I think the reason for that, Rich, is you made a good point about how the Texans defense and the Pats defense are kind of the same thing. Vince Wilfork, not even personnel-wise, but just the way they run their schemes. So and Bill O'Brien obviously has that, the Patriots connection. Romeo Crennel is a defensive coordinator. So they really are the Patriots South. So if you know your defense well enough, you know how to beat your own defense. And so while on paper the defense looks great, but who have they played so far? The Bears, who are probably one of the worst teams in the NFL right now, especially now that Jay Cutler's out, and the Chiefs, who – I can't get a read on them. They had that Chargers game where they gave up 20-some-odd points, and then so I don't have a read on the teams they've played so far. Good test, the Texans today, but the Pats find a way, and there's a lot of reason to believe they'll do the exact same thing, even with Jacoby Brissett back there.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing is that the Patriots found success running the ball last year. And that was with Blunt. I think he picked up 51 yards on 10 carries. Brandon Bolden picked up 52 yards or something like that on 16 carries. They were able to move the ball against the Texans, and the offense wasn't in good shape. Amendola and Gronkowski were not full participants in the game. They didn't have Edelman. They had Brandon LaFell on the roster, but Chris Hogan's far better than LaFell was at that point. LeGarrette Blount, as you said, went down in the second quarter. So this Patriots team was not healthy. They didn't have a backup tight end because Scott Chandler was dinged up. So the Patriots didn't really have an offense, and they still put up 27 points. So I think right now you're looking at an offense. It's a huge drop from Tom Brady to Jimmy Garoppolo, never mind Tom Brady to Jacoby Brissett. But I think that there is enough talent on this offense. Remember, last year, the Patriots' offensive line was in bad shape, too. They didn't have Nate Solder. They didn't have Josh Klein, who isn't on the roster right now, but he was the best guard they had last year. And I think they had Brian Stork at center at that point in time. This is an entirely different offensive line than what the Texans saw. This is an entirely different offense than what the Texans saw. They have no read on this. They will have no idea how the Patriots are going to come at them. I personally am very, very excited to finally see the personnel package that has Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan on the outside, Martellus Bennett and Rob Gronkowski flanking the offensive line, and then LeGarrette Blount or some other running back in the backfield, because I have no idea how any team can possibly defend that.
I don't either, and if the Patriots can have success with that, maybe even a package with James White and Blount back there, because that would just cause all kinds of what are they going to do with the running play action, screen option, whatever it is. But if they can find success with that kind of package with a third-round rookie who's never played an NFL start before, when Brady comes back in 2 weeks, that package is going to go absolutely nuts, and it's going to be so much fun to watch. And it's kind of fun. As much as it sucks to see, the Patriots in this situation quarterback-wise, I don't remember the last time I've been this relaxed for a regular season game.
It feels like
it's kind of nice,
right?
Yeah, it's nice. It's like preseason. I guess this is what it's like to be a Cleveland Browns fan. It's like, who's my quarterback? I don't know who we got left on the roster. Everyone's hurt. Dice. Yeah, let's roll the dice. What the hell? Why the hell not? And, it's just kind of the way it is. Actually, one thing I'm really curious about is Brock Osweiler. Can't get a read on him either. The last time the Patriots played the Texans, I believe it was Brian Hoyer under center, former Patriot. Osweiler has been flashy, I guess, at this early point in the season. What do you see Brock Osweiler doing against the Patriots defense? How are the Texans scoring their points so far, and can it duplicate that tonight?
Okay, so I've broken down the Texans' 2 games this year, and as we said, I can't get a read on the Texans' offense either because they're not very good, but they find a way to put up points. And I can just break them down by their positional groups, I guess. So their offensive line, I think that's where the core of all of it starts, is not very good. Dwayne Brown is a fantastic left tackle. He is out. He's not playing today. They have 2 backup tackles, Derek Newton and Chris Clark. Both of them have been on the injury report. Neither of them are very good. I would put them in the bottom, like a below average starter grade in the NFL. Their interior line is worse. So their right guard, Jeff Allen, has allowed more sacks than any other player in the entire NFL. He's not great. Their center, don't even know his name, but every time I watched him, the opposing defensive tackle had no problem just pushing him into the backfield. And the Texans love to run their stretch plays with Lamar Miller. They love to get him so he can just do a one cut and go. And every single time I saw the opposing defensive tackle just push their center right into the middle of the play, so Lamar Miller would just be hit at the line of scrimmage. So there wasn't anything that he could really do about it. And then their left guard, Xavier Suafilo, he's okay. I mean, he's not great, but he's out there, and he might even be their best offensive lineman, but he is also not a great option. So just across the board, this Texans offensive line is not great, and that's where all their problems start, because you need to have the run game, I think, for this offense, because they rely so heavily on Brock Osweiler in the deep shot. And the way you get that deep shot is by selling the play action. And right now, the Texans' run game is kind of a little bit like last year with the Patriots, where the Patriots relied a lot on play action, but their run game was so anemic that all the opposing defenses were like, all right, you guys run the ball if you want. You can pick up 2 yards. We're not even going to worry about it too much. We'll just drop everyone back into coverage. And so that's why they've been stalled a little bit. And so the Patriots will have to really focus on making sure that Lamar Miller does not get going. This is why I thought Donta Hightower would be a huge part of this game plan. But I do think that the Patriots still have enough power in the defensive front seven to stop this run. And I think when you look more towards the passing attack, they rely very, very heavily on, of course, DeAndre Hopkins. I personally think he's a top 5 wide receiver in the league. He's extraordinarily talented, got some of the best hands out there. Number 2 guy is rookie Will Fuller. And then number 3 guy will be Jalen Strong. Of those 3, the Texans rely on 3 wide receiver sets for roughly like 80% of the time. So the Patriots are going to have to use their cornerbacks a lot. I think that the Patriots will match up Justin Coleman on Will Fuller the same way that they used Coleman against Kenny Stills and the Dolphins, because he's a speedster. That's how he wins. He doesn't have the best hands, but he's able just to break behind the secondary. And I think that Coleman has the speed to keep up that I don't believe Butler or Ryan has. I think that Logan Ryan will match up against Hopkins, because he matched up with Hopkins last year and pretty much erased him. He held Hopkins, I believe it was to 2 catches and like 11 yards until the 4th quarter. And that is enough stalling. I mean, I think Hopkins had a 40-yard catch in the 4th quarter. But if you are able to limit Hopkins to almost no production through 3 quarters, then that's going to give your defense a really good head start. It's going to put your offense in a good position in order to succeed and continue to produce. And so I think that Ryan will be asked to match up with Hopkins. And then Butler can be on an island against Jalen Strong, who's not a very good wide receiver. He hasn't really emerged in the NFL. So I think that you look at this Texans offense, they rely so much on those big chunk plays. Osweiler, I believe, has been the most accurate deep arm quarterback in the entire league this year. But I don't know if he's going to regress to the mean or if that's how he actually is. So I don't know if his 55% completion rate on passes that the rest of the league averages 33% on. I don't know if he's actually 20% better than the rest of the league at it. I don't think so. And so I think that he's due for a regression. He's due for a game where he only hits 1 out of his 10 deep shots. And so I think that the Patriots have to focus on stopping those deep plays, because that's the entirety of the Texans offense. We saw that last year too, when Osweiler was with the Broncos in that 4th quarter. He killed them. He killed them with those deep chunk shots to Emmanuel Sanders down the sideline to Demaryius Thomas. So the Patriots need to stop those deep passes. They need to force him to dink and dunk with the non-DeAndre Hopkins options. They need to force Osweiler to use their number 4, number 5 options in that offense, because I don't think he feels very comfortable with them. I don't think that they can carry their offense. So I think that if the Patriots can prevent the Texans from picking up like 5 20-plus yard plays on the day, I think that the Patriots are going to be in a really good shot to win this game.
Well, one thing we all know the Patriots do very well is take away your biggest weapon. If your biggest weapon is the deep shot, then so be it. Maybe it'll be one of those games like it was against the Peyton Manning-led Denver Broncos, when they just dink and dunk down the field forever. They let them run the ball at will. And was it Ronnie Hill or whoever the running back was back then? He had like a 200-yard day. Pass came back to win in overtime because Peyton Manning never got into rhythm, never allowed him to throw. So maybe it's one of those games where the Patriots have a run-heavy offense that are trying to grind the clock down and make sure LeGarrette Blount gets going and not rely on Brissett to do too much. And then the flip side, the Houston Texans, the deep play's gone, so they have to run it. So this might be a game where just 2 offenses just run the ball up and down the field in the 20-yard line to the red zone over and over again, and the team that scores touchdowns and not field goals wins. Could be a very low-scoring game, or it could be a total shootout. I have no idea. Like I said, who knows?
Yeah. So my question to you right now then is, we talked a little about the offense. We talked a little bit about the defense. What is your key matchup on both sides of the ball? And then we can talk about our X factors later on. But what is your key matchup for the offensive side of the Patriots, and what is your key matchup for the defensive side?
Yeah, you kind of touched on a little bit, Rich, on defense. I think that this is a really good game for Alan Branch. I believe Tony Bergstrom is the name of the center. Their backup is a guy named Greg Mance, I think, or Mance.
Yeah, Greg Mance is the starter. Actually, he's
starter.
The
okay,
starter.
So all right, so flip that around again. Those guys are not anything to write home about, like you said. I think Alan Branch is the kind of body who can really collapse the interior of that pocket and force all runs to the outside. Where I think Chris Long and Jabal Sheard have been very strong at locking those edges off. So I think Alan Branch versus the center Greg Mance is going to be a big matchup today. If he can get a good first push, that's going to be important. And it's going to be an exact mirror image, actually, on the opposite side of the ball. It's going to be David Andrews versus Vince Wilfork. This is Wilfork's return to Gillette for the first time as a Texan. Hope he gets a nice, warm welcome from the Foxborough faithful, who apparently are chanting "Fire Goodell" in full force and have been for the past hour. So good for you guys there. But if David, I'm sure Wilfork has had this game circled. It's a little less emphatic now because Brady's not there and he's got no grudge, I imagine, with Jacoby Brissett. But at the same time,
how mean would that be?
Yeah, that would be great. I hate that Brissett kid. He was in like fifth grade when Wilfork was drafted. But anyway, I think that if Andrews can contain Vince Wilfork, I think he's going to have to be on an island against him. He's not the player he once was, obviously. Father Time is undefeated. But I'm imagining double teaming on J.J. Watts and double teams on Jadeveon Clowney. Those guys are having very good seasons so far. So it's going to be Wilfork and Andrews one-on-one. And for a new quarterback, you need a clean pocket if you want to throw effectively. And so if Wilfork gets an early push on Andrews, starts making Brissett jumpy, that could lead to some huge problems down the road. So two big matchups at the front of the line from the big men.
So those are good ones. I was actually going to point out the J.J. Watt matchup because he's going to match up against Marcus Cannon or Shaq Mason, but he kind of moves over the entire line. So I think that the Patriots offensive line needs to have a game plan in order to eliminate him from the game. But I think that what we need with the Patriots offense, what they have to do is find someone who can produce. They need to find someone who can win the matchups. And this Texans defense is pretty good. Benardrick McKinney is a very talented run stuffer up in the middle. John Simon has been very, very disruptive at linebacker. But I think that the Texans could be susceptible to a running attack. I think that the Chiefs had a lot of success running the ball on them. I also think that the Texans relied on cornerback, and it was A.J. Boye. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but he was asked to cover Travis Kelce of the Chiefs, and that's a cornerback. And if the Texans feel like they need to put a cornerback on the field to match up against Rob Gronkowski or to match up against Martellus Bennett or both, then the Patriots are just going to run the ball down their throats. And I think that Blount is my key player right there because I think that Blount's going to have an exceptional game. I think that Blount's going to have to come out there, run as hard as he did in that fourth quarter against the Dolphins. He needs to be decisive. He needs to hit the edge. He needs to hit up the middle. The Patriots running attack, Dante Scarnecchia, offensive line coach, he's kind of the run game coordinator. This Patriots run game is going to be the biggest matchup, I think, because the Texans' defensive front seven is extraordinary. And so if the Patriots can get a run game going, then I believe that they have a chance to open up some passing attacks down the field. It'll give Jacoby Brissett a little more freedom to do some rollouts. Maybe he'll find some players in the flat and get him into a rhythm because that's what he'll need. This is his first game as a starter. I don't really count last week against the Dolphins as a game plan because he was just thrown into the wolves right there. So if the Patriots can come out and figure a way to get Jacoby Brissett involved after LeGarrette Blount just distracts the entire Texans defense, I think that's going to be the big win for the Patriots offense.
I will pile on top of that, Rich, because I feel like everybody, even if you're a very casual football fan, the strategy of run the ball with a rookie quarterback, keep the clock control going, keep the game out of his hand, don't force him to put it on his back, that's a pretty viable strategy and one that no one's going to be surprised the Patriots do that. So I imagine the Texans are gearing up for a very run-heavy Patriots offense going forward. And so if the Patriots can have success running the ball today against a very strong Texans defensive front, like you said, who are expecting them to run, I think that bodes really well down the line because this is probably one of the better run defenses this team will see going forward with much less of a passing threat they're ever going to get going forward after this as well. So that kind of combination could be a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So if they can be running it well and the Texans expect them to run it and they still can't stop them, it's all systems going. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, how big of a gold star would this be for this Patriots offensive line to come back from such a disastrous 2015 to be able to run the ball on the Texans? So if they can pull that off, I think that they get the biggest tip of the cap you can get. I think that they're fully back to where they need to be. Looking over at the defensive side of the ball, I think my big matchup is definitely it's going to be Logan Ryan and DeAndre Hopkins. That's the big marquee matchup. Ryan did a great job last year. Bill Belichick spoke a little bit in his press conference about why he likes that matchup, not specifically as it pertains to Hopkins, but as it does to physical wide receivers, which Hopkins is classified as. He likes that Logan Ryan plays with great technique, and that allows him to mirror the wide receivers and allows him to do some of the necessary hand fighting, so the physicality is kind of reduced. And so I think that's why Ryan is a good matchup against Hopkins, and that's why they like him against some of the bigger wide receivers. So I think that if Logan Ryan can step up and limit DeAndre Hopkins again, I'm going to give him a little more leeway. If he can hold DeAndre Hopkins to under 70 yards today, I think that's going to be a really good performance by him.
I feel like Logan Ryan has gotten kind of a bum rap over these first couple of weeks. He's actually been pretty solid in coverage, and there have been maybe 2-3 plays each game against the Dolphins and the Cardinals where the receiver he was covering will be Larry Fitzgerald or Landry last week, who just had like a one-handed grab or just like pulled it in and then perfect coverage, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so a lot of people are riding Logan Ryan necessarily, I think, because, again, like you say all the time, other players are going to make plays. These guys get paid too. And if you're Logan Ryan, you're covering some guy, you got him blanketed, and he pulls in like a one-handed toe-touch sideline grab, like, so be it. Them's the breaks. So I'm excited for the matchup too. Should be fun.
I agree. And I'm going to throw out one final bonus one. My X factor is going to be how Jonathan Freeney steps up in the place of Donta Hightower in that heart of the defense. He needs to have an encore performance of being such a good run defender because he did a great job last week. He forced a fumble. It was a very, very good job. He had another couple of plays that he didn't get accounted in the stat sheet. One of them he totally should have. He stuffed who was the running back? I don't know who it was. He stuffed the running back in the backfield. I think it was Ajayi. Stuffed him in the backfield. Somehow the stats people gave it to Malcolm Brown and Jamie Collins. Doesn't make any sense. Freeney had him by the legs and tailed him down. Felt bad for Freeney on that one. I rag on him a lot, so I'm going to give him credit when I can. So I think that if Freeney can step up again today, have a really good game, then that's back-to-back good games. I'm going to have to start holding him in higher esteem and higher regard because he will have deserved it at that point. So Jonathan Freeney is my X factor on defense. LeGarrette Blount's my X factor on offense.
Rock on. My X factors on defense, I'm going to go with Trey Flowers. I think he is probably the most versatile lineman the Patriots have in terms of where they can line him up along the line. You've got your pure edge defenders. You've got your middle guys. I think Flowers is pretty comfortable on either side of the line or anywhere in the middle. So I'm curious to see how they can kind of stunt him around and move him to various places on the line to cause some problems with those younger centers, those inexperienced offensive linemen. And again, Brock Osweiler isn't this veteran, kind of hardened, battle-tested quarterback. He's still pretty green himself. And so look for a lot of confusing packages defensively with those stunts, those blitzes, those linebacker ends, and Flowers to really get it done there as a guy.
Yeah, I agree with that too because we didn't even talk about this one, but last week we saw that the Patriots run or pass rush was just non-existent against Ryan Tannehill. It just wasn't there. I think it was Trey Flowers himself. I mean, he had 0 pressures on like 29 rushes, but that was part of the game plan is that the Patriots, they treat Ryan Tannehill like they treat Russell Wilson. They respect his ability to run and to scramble, so they wanted to keep him contained in the pocket. I don't think the same thing applies to Osweiler here. I think the same rules that were with Carson Palmer apply to Osweiler. And I think that the Patriots, as you said, Trey Flowers is going to have a big day. I think Chris Long, Jabal Sheard, I think that the Patriots are really going to let them just rip and go and just try and take down Osweiler as many times as they can. Just had to throw that out there.
Well, I'm glad you did, Rich. It's always good when you agree with me because it's a rarity here at Pat's Pulpit, so I'll take it. Offensive side of the ball, my X factor, if I'm right, then you're going to be right because I'm going with fullback James Devlin as my X factor. He had a pretty big game against Miami. He's going to be asked to do a lot of hard-nosed blocking, a lot of picking up guys like J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney and blitzing linebackers and whatnot. And hopefully he's leading the way for some pretty strong rushing attacks. So James Devlin, you go do your thing today and put some helmets and some pads and cause some trouble.
Absolutely. So I think right now we're about to wrap up. Right now, let's do some game projections.
Well, Rich, you won last week. You had the Patriots winning 28-17. I had them winning 21-14. They scored 21 in the first quarter, so I knew I was out all immediately. So I'm actually happy I lost this one because that means you have to go first. And as of right now, I'm making a prediction in about 10 seconds. I got no clue what I'm going to say. So go ahead. I got to think.
Dude, I have no idea either, man. I'm flipping a coin in my head right now. I think that like every part of my brain is saying that the Texans are going to win, but I feel like in my gut that I'm just like, I think the Patriots are going to pull it off. I don't know why. I think like a lot of smart people are out there. You know, Steve Palazzolo of Pro Football Focus, Chris Collinsworth, Kevin Seifert. All of these really, really smart people are putting their money on the Patriots right now. And I'm just thinking, like, am I missing something? Are they really thinking that the drop from Jimmy Garoppolo to Jacoby Brissett won't be that big? Or are they really thinking that the Texans are super overrated? And so right now, I wrote this earlier today, is that Football Outsiders, it's an analytics website, they do a way to rate teams. They rated the Patriots and the Texans as 2 of the 5 worst 2-0 teams in the past 30 years. So neither of these teams have really stood out in either way. I think that the Patriots numbers are really hurt based off of that second half against the Dolphins. I don't want to hold it too much against them. But I honestly don't know. I think that these two teams are very, very evenly matched. For as talented as the Patriots are on offense, the Texans are talented on defense, vice versa for the other side of the ball, except I think that the Texans offense isn't as great, and the Patriots have let up some yards that they shouldn't have this year. So I think it'll be a close game. The over-under is around 40 or so. I think that I'm just going to go with it. Patriots win 23-20.
Patriots win 23-20. All right, Rich, time for my prediction. I have written a number on the back of this business card. You're going to guess if it's over 5 or under 5. If it's over 5 and you get it right, if you guess the over and you get it right, I'm going to take the Patriots. If you guess the under, you get it wrong, I'm taking the Texans. Get it?
No, so if I say
it's between 1 and 10, over or under 5.
Over.
There's a 7. So, yes, you got it. I am picking the Patriots to win this game. I think it's going to be a defensive struggle with a lot of long, drawn-out drives with running backs on both sides of the ball. So let's just go ahead and say Patriots win this one 13-9.
Oh, this is going to be an ugly game, isn't it?
I think this is great. Like I said, the Patriots are 2-0. The worst they can do now is 2-2, which we're all very happy with. Let's enjoy this. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's just kind of have a good time with it. And if they lose, well, that's all right.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Jacoby Brissett goes out there and plays well. This is going to be a fun game for everyone. We will have all of our content up on patspulpit.com at halftime throughout the game. We're going to do a post-game show on Facebook Live, so make sure you check us out there at facebook.com/patspulpit. Make sure you check for all of our information. We will have a podcast on Tuesday recapping this past week. Alec, do you have any final thoughts?
Brissett to Bennett just sounds nice, doesn't it?
Oh, that's true. I like that. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. Jacoby to Gronk, though. I'm hoping that Gronk has a good day and everyone stays healthy. That applies to everyone else. But, Alec, you have a fun time watching the game, and everyone else, you too.
See you, buddy.
Later, man.